Okay. So good evening, everyone. I'm 𝒂𝒏𝒕, Center Head, Jamshedpur Management Association, and my team is delighted to welcome you all for today's TA talk, that is Transformation Through Experience and Awareness talk on Get Retirement Ready, Effective Wealth and Investment Management After 45, with our expert speaker, Mr. Kuldeep Hegde. Mr. Kuldeep Hegde is the visionary founder and principal officer of Qrate Wealth, a SEBI-registered investment advisory firm, where he leverages 14 years of expertise in the investment and wealth management industry. Prior to establishing Qrate Wealth, he held a leadership role as director at BlackRock in Aladdin Wealth Tech. Mr. Kuldeep holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a postgraduate diploma in management with a specialization in finance. Beyond his professional achievements, he is deeply committed to fitness, regularly participating in half marathons, and is an avid long distance runner. It is my privilege to now invite our distinguished speaker, Mr. Kuldeep Hegde, to share his valuable insights and expertise on today's topic. Sir, please take the platform for the webinar. Yeah, welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you for those kind words. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me over. Just want to check I'm audible, and I hope the voice, everything is clear here, right?
Yes, okay. You are audible. It's clear.
All right, yeah. And also thank you everyone for taking time on a Friday evening to attend this session. I really appreciate this. So the topic that I've been asked to talk about is about effective wealth management and investment management post 45 years of age. Let me just put in my presentation that probably will help us as we go through this. Okay, so when we speak about retirement, like when probably a generation back, or even if you go like a 10 or 20 years back, like people get retired at 60, and you need to think about like what kind of a life expectancy a person has beyond the retirement age, right? If you even today, I think probably our expectancy rate is just about 70, and it's only climbing up. But if you went about 10, 20 years back, it was just about 68 or so. So so there was the time that was spent in retirement life for most of the people were very limited, and also the cost of living, if you were to consider, was not as high. So there were another aspect, like most of the, at least from the government firms, people worked in banks or other central government or state government offices. They got their regular pension that kind of met their their income requirements post retirement. But with all the scientific progress that's happening right now, we need to kind of account into two different things as we talk about retirement. One is let me make this full screen. One is the longevity, right? So we are now, by this cohort, probably when we are getting towards the retirement, probably most of us are, going to live, at least the average lifespan is going to be, for this group, probably is going to cross 80. And so we're talking about almost like a decade or two leaving into your retirement. So that is one factor that we need to consider. And second part is, it is not necessarily that we've been having a very healthy lifestyle either, even though we are living longer. So there's also a thing of, the cost of maintaining your health, or the health cost in itself, that is also increasing. So these are the two things that we need to consider. One is the longevity, three things actually. One is the longevity. Second is the whole aspect of cost of living, which seems to be increasing over a period of time. And with also, as economy growing, we'll also see that cost of living definitely will start increasing over point in time. And third is the factor of health cost itself. So these are the three major beats that we need to plan for as we're talking about retirement. Okay, so and now just taking probably a couple of steps back before we delve this into deeper. I'll just talk about some of the investment products that are there, which are meant for retirement only. And maybe, sorry, I just missed this part. This was the inflation component I was talking about, where, like if you were to having a monthly expense about just about ₹1,00,000 today, if you're 35 or if you're 40, if you're 45, if you're two comparisons here, when you turn about 60, just taking an inflation rate about 6%, this would be about 3.38 lakhs. Now, if this is for a person who's at 35, if the person is at a 45, that probably is it will double in next 15 years. And if you were to think like, okay, if you were to spend another 20 years in retirement, that same value is going to be almost 9 lakhs for somebody at 35, or almost 5.5 lakh somebody at 45. So we see how the the inflation cost also is going to come into picture. Sorry, I just missed talking about it a little later. So yeah, this is what I was trying to talk about. They're like, probably taking a step back, trying to understand when we talk about retirement, what are some of the specific products that are out there that are targeting particularly to retirement only. Most of you must have heard of this. That's probably I'm not speaking something new, but few details maybe it'll be worthwhile to know. So one is you have two particular products called Provident Fund and National Pension Scheme. Both are sponsored by EPFO, and both are available to people at large, but mostly for salaried class. This probably is a lot beneficial. So from Provident Fund, you probably know EPF, which you get from your contribution of 12.5% of your basic. Your employer also contributes to that, and the interest rate for this is kind of fixed every year. So it's tied at about 8.25% now, and you don't pay tax on it when you invest in there. The interest that is generated yearly, that is not taxed, and at the end of the term, which about 60 years, when you are withdrawing this entire corpus, it is not taxed there as well. So it's an exempt product. So even if it is at an 8.25%, considering all the tax aspect to this becomes a very attractive proposition. So if somebody is very keen on thinking of fixed income as a core aspect, I think there are a few other avenues within that, like something like a VPF. Somebody, if he's a salaried person, still wants to figure out that I'm better off investing at 8.25% than anything else, and choosing security more than anything else, that probably also gives the same option. In here, you can invest up to 1.5 lakh per year. Sorry, you can invest up to 100% of your basic into this, and you get the exact same interest rate as what EPF gives you. And another option is PPF, Public Provident Fund. This is in here the interest rate is not same as EPF. There's almost like a full 100%, 100 basis point lesser returns that you're going to get. And there is also a fixed tenure where you can invest it up to like 15 years is the max you can hold that you can invest into, and after that, you can let that investment grow in a tranches of 5 years, but you cannot be investing beyond 15 years. So that's how it has been structured. But it is debatable. It is for each one's personal risk appetite and inclination. But beyond EPF, going and investing in Provident Fund probably is not the most smart thing that one can do, because for the tenure we are talking about from where we are, like whether you're at 45, if you're looking for another 15 odd years, looking to invest into something which is like heavily investing in fixed income probably is not a very smart thing to do, because in Provident Fund, almost 85% is put into fixed income and 15% is invested into Nifty 50. Okay, and that's one product. An alternate is NPS. I'm sure most of you are aware of this, but there are a few part of it that probably is good to know. There are two structures in it, Tier 1 and Tier 2. And in Tier 1, you can invest up to 50,000 rupees into it, and you get the ATD tax benefit for doing that. It's so you first, as you invest there, you get an exemption. Second part is Tier 2. In here, you can invest up to 1.5 lakhs to get tax exemption. There is no limit how much you can invest, but up to 1.5 lakh, you get a tax exemption. So you should definitely try doing this. This comes under, I think, 80 EED. You should try, if you are not doing it, you should definitely do this. Why one should focus on NPS as a product is, this is a low cost product. So the fees is really, really low. It's like 0.01, 0.02 it's under 0.05% AUM. Like when you compare to a mutual fund or so, probably charges almost 1%. So it's significantly low fees. And second, they don't really follow. Yeah. So they do not really follow a particular investment theme per se. When you're talking about equity, they can invest across equity instruments. So they can choose whichever part of the market rather than like a mutual fund which does only large, mid, small, mid, or sector. They can take any deal they want to, and it's significantly long term. So it gives you a lot of time to compound. And the other option here is that as a investor, you get an option to choose the fund manager you want to, and also your allocation, which you're comfortable with. Like as a government employee, probably it stops you from not taking equity exposure about 50%. But if you're a non-government, like a private sector employee, you can go all the way to 75%. You can also give allocation to investing into alternatives like infrastructure projects or real estate, etc. And the rest probably goes into fixed income. So this as a product compounds significantly over time. I mean, and at 60, you can go and withdraw up to 60% of the entire corpus, again tax free, and 40% is something you need to use to get your annuity. Annuity is primarily you fix out how much outflow you need every year with an insurance firm mostly, and they will give you similar to a pension. The annuity will be paid out every year. So this is a great product. So I would recommend like anybody in this group like to definitely take advantage of the entire 2 lakh. Plus in tier 2, try to contribute more to it because this really adds up over time. From a retirement point of view, this definitely feels like a great product. Okay, and going beyond this, we have more products. Again, I think in this day and age, like probably most of you are aware of this. From an investment vehicle point of view, that is where you can invest into. So you have for everyone who can invest, you can start at a mutual fund. It starts at 500 rupees, and then you can go down the route of different products which are pooled in. So you have REIT, InvIT, REIT and InvIT. REIT is Real Estate Investment Trust. So this is a company that sponsors this particular product. Usually pools multiple real estate projects, primarily in larger cities like in Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad. Wherever you have these mega office spaces or even malls, etc., they kind of pool them together and form a trust. And any appreciation or income that is generated from this asset goes to the investor. So this is REIT. And there is another product called InvIT. In here, all the major infrastructure firms, what they do is they again pull up their infrastructure projects into this trust. And again, appreciation or the income that generates from it is passed on to the investor. So think about toll roads, like the highways that are built. They spend a lot of money in building this road, and then it takes for the company probably takes a lot of time to realize the returns. So they would rather sell this to or pass this entire thing to the trust, and the company probably takes its money. But from an investor point of view, like whatever income these assets generate, in either it is from if it is a toll asset, the toll that is collected goes to the investors. If it is a power generation asset, then the money that is coming from the generation of power goes to the investor. So these are some of the avenues where that are there. And then if you are looking for higher ticket product, you have this EMS, even higher ticket. If you are looking to get some alternative exposure into startups or private equity, you have AIFs. So these are vehicles. And through these vehicles, you can take exposure to different asset classes out there, whether it is fixed income, equity, real estate, precious metals. You have all these assets into which you can take exposure to. I mean, I'm not going to deeper into investment vehicles. I'm presuming most of you are aware. But if you aren't, feel free to reach out to me and I can talk more about what each of these mean, right? But I'm focusing more on what are the few things like basic investment hygiene that needs to be done when you are investing, right? So usually one of the few things that I've been seeing ever since I started my practice is people start investing and they invest in a set of fund or a set of money. Let's say somebody starts investing at 50,000 and that was done like 4 or 5 years back. And even today, they keep investing just 50,000 every month. Somebody is doing 1 lakh and they continue doing the amount for several years. There is no um, thought process behind, can I increase my investment every year? So every year, most of people who are working or otherwise, you kind of get an incremental income in form of your in a form of every yearly appraisal. You have an income that gets appreciated for which whatever amount. So as long as your lifestyle hasn't changed from year one to year two, like the inflation has remained something very similar, and your lifestyle hasn't changed, then probably it's a good idea to increase the investments every year in aligning with your income increase, or probably a little more if you can. Like, you don't have to penny pinch, but if you can, you should do that, because in here you can see this clear difference what happens. So I'm just taking an example here for somebody who's been investing 1 lakh rupees and who started today and makes no change at all and continues to invest the same amount every month for 15 years. What happens here is, end of 15 years, the portfolio this person has is about roughly 5 crores. Okay, having invested 1 lakh rupees every month. Now, I'm assuming 12% return. I mean, that's not the North Star, and we come back to it. In other case, if you are investing the same amount, 1 lakh rupees a month for every year, but instead you also step it up by 10% every year, like you increase your investments every year. Now, what happens is your investment corpus has actually gone almost to 8.6 crores. That's near about double from where we started. It is 40% more than where we started in the previous case. Yes, your investment amount has increased, but let's assume at 15 you don't by 15 you do not have any more income and you cannot invest. Now, this amount of 8.6 crore will compound much faster to a much larger amount as compared to 5 crore. So this is the difference. So when you are investing as towards your retirement plan or otherwise, always try to make sure that you are stepping up investment every single year. That's something that needs to be done. And from my own experience, I've seen is that many people do not do. So this is one thing I just wanted to mention. Second is, while investing, like, okay, what should the portfolio should look like? So this is another aspect that I've been seeing here is that, it's a quite disarray of portfolio that comes by. We're trying to do multiple things. It's usually consists of A telling you something, B telling you something, and etc. etc. And then somebody started a mutual fund SIP to a set of funds, and then leaving it there and starting something else. So in the end, there are like 20, 50, 20 or more mutual funds, and like a lot of secure stocks or some multiple endowment plan, ULIPs in their portfolio, making it like there is investment being done, but it is like just all over the place. So it probably gives you some bit of a hygiene of getting the concept of what is this core portfolio, satellite portfolio strategy. Like, one is you don't need to do any major things for investing. I already mentioned there is provident fund that you probably already have without knowing about it as part of your employment package. And then if you haven't done NPS, you must definitely do NPS. And then there is a mutual fund, which is a very ironed out, clear-cut mandated product out there. Yes, it can be overwhelming which one to choose, but picking the set of mutual funds, and that makes your core portfolio. And you make small changes to it periodically to get the making sure that you're meeting the whole asset allocation based on whatever you want to do, and that remains like a steady ship. Then we think about it like your regular meal, right? When you go to a restaurant, when you get a thali, so you have this roti or rice, and then you have dal, sabzi, etc. I mean, not very interesting taste, just about okay. So that is your core element. So that core portfolio is just that. Now, the subsequent to that is what comes as your satellite portfolio. The satellite portfolio is where you kind of do some, try to take that. Okay, let me take some additional risk. When your portfolio size starts increasing, you start making additional allocation to your satellite portfolio. In here, like, okay, let me buy a couple of stocks, which I think probably does well, or which you have understood well, and you're doing this. Okay, I'll buy this. Or your portfolio becomes larger. I want to take more exposure to some alternate asset, or I want to try to do some PMS. All of this should be your satellite portfolio. This is like your dessert that is there in your thali, or your achar in your thali. It makes things very spicy. It makes it you feel like relishing your meal. But this cannot be your meal. It is just a part of your portfolio that gives you outsized returns, but has significant risk in it. And so you just make a smaller allocation to it, but the larger component must be well. I mean, I'm not saying you should be putting in fixed products or something, but investing into products that are well managed, well maintained in form of mutual funds, provident funds, and NPS. This is how I would think of a portfolio composition for a retirement plan. So then another aspect of when you're building portfolio is thinking about what is asset allocation, right? So that's what I told earlier. Like when a person is trying to do investment over a period of time, like if you started investing at 25 and at somebody at 35 or 25 after 20 years, and you have just kept buying different things and never sold, it's just all over the place. So trying to get some aspect of what asset allocation is, that I need to have exposure to these many sectors, or I need to be having exposure to so much, like maybe 40% to large cap, something to mid cap, so much for small cap, some US exposure, a particular exposure towards fixed income, some alternative, etc. That is called as asset allocation, so that you clearly know how much weightage you have for each of these asset classes. So why we are doing this is, like when you're building portfolio, right? We always tend to make returns as our north star. Like I need to generate so much returns. Now, returns technically is not in our hands. I mean, the market, when it is moving in different directions, probably we do get the returns that we want to. But most important part when you're constructing portfolio is risk mitigation. So making sure that we are managing the risk right. So when we are able to do that, then by reducing the chances of failure, you kind of get better returns. That's how usually you construct portfolio. So by making asset allocation right, you kind of make your possibility of getting better returns on a consistent basis higher. For example, one can just build a small cap portfolio, like 100%, and in the short term, it can give you amazing performance. Like if you've been invested small cap 100% in 2021 onwards, your portfolio might have performed better than anything else that is ever seen. But can we make that as a retirement portfolio for another 15 years? Probably not. It will fall, because if somebody has seen the market from 2015 to 2020, like about I think 2017, 18, the small caps actually fell down by almost 50%. So need to be very sure about how and it took about a year and a half to recover. So we need to really think about how do we do. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Asset allocation is trying to figure out like how do we mitigate risk while building a portfolio. So this component has to be really thought about as we build your retirement portfolio, right? Next part is important part I was talking about is insurance. Like we spoke about building a portfolio with different products, and in a manner that it can kind of gives you performance beyond inflation for a consistent period of time, so that portfolio will generate you income, the income that you want to, that will beat inflation over a period of time. So this is how you kind of build. I mean, I've not spoken about what happens after 60, but from 45 to 60, this is the plan that you want to have. Second aspect is like in portfolio, in life also, the aspect is how do you mitigate risk? That's the most important aspect. I'm sure every one of you who is employed here by default have a company life insurance, company health insurance. Some could be really adequate. Most of them aren't. That's true. Like even when I used to work for a very large organization myself, and I always thought my insurance was very well adequate, etc. But when comparing to what was available in the market, I found that options were better outside, and also it kind of gave me better flexibility if you were to move out of the jobs, etc. So having a personal health insurance for your family is really, really important. And one must look for getting a very comprehensive coverage, not focusing on, okay, 5 lakhs should be enough. I'm not aware exactly of how it would be in Jamshedpur, but I'm presuming health cost across India is high. So probably taking a good comprehensive coverage really helps. Today, I think the insurance folks focus on 5, 10, 20, and then there are coverage over 20. But trying to make a coverage approximately around 20 lakhs probably is a smart thing to do, and more then depends on your family requirement. But having a very good comprehensive coverage covering all the kind of illness that you can think of is very, very important, because you just don't know when to happen. Like my own personal experience is like this was in 2017 or so. So my mother-in-law, I mean, she was diagnosed with cancer, and I was not aware. She used to have she used to work at some point in time, and she had a corporate insurance, and nobody bothered about checking with her, like if she has covered. I mean, I think we never thought about it. And at that moment, we realized she doesn't have an insurance, and we needed to take care of her. I mean, thankfully, it was huge, but something we could manage. But I don't think so. It is not something everybody can. Like the such thing comes unexpectedly. So it is wise to be prepared. And like in portfolio in life, how do you mitigate risk is the most important aspect, because it's just that one illness, and if you're not planned for it, that can kind of wipe out everything that you've done so far, right? So that's why making sure you have an adequate health insurance is very important. I would also say term insurance that doesn't come under the retirement plan per se, but having a good term insurance with critical cover is very, very important. Okay, these are the two hygienes that one must have in general financial planning, retirement or not. And term insurance, you don't really have to 70, 80, 90, 100 years, just making sure you cover your prime. So it can be up to 50, up to 55, whatever time where your portfolio becomes sizable, you can halt it and you say that I don't need term insurance anymore. And you don't have to take those insurance which says I'll give you premium back, I will cover you until you'll get money back after 85. These are all expensive propositions. Making sure you take a very plain vanilla insurance, a term insurance for which you're paying premium every single year. That's important. Do not try and say I'll prepay now and I don't have to pay after 5 years. All of these are expensive. Simple, very simple term insurance which gives you critical cover and the life cover that you require, which probably should be about 10 or 15 times your annual income. And the period of it should be just about 10 to 15 years, which is your prime earning period. And that's it. After that, you probably, if you made a significant corpus or the investments have been sizable, then probably you don't need it at all. So, for example, like if you take like in 2008 or so, like a lot of this term insurance came with giving you 1 crore policy, right? 1 crore life cover at 60. Now, if you think, if in 2008, now, like 18, 28, 38, at 2038, before 2030, around 2038, if a family were to get 1 crore, that 1 crore probably does not have the kind of value that at 2008 it had, right? The inflation has eaten up a lot of it. So that's something we need to really think about. So insurance commissions will give you so much cover, but you're only getting it after a much longer period of time. So the best part of doing in term insurance is making sure you cover only the prime period when you need it, by when you probably have the corpus that is required, which will make sure that all the debts are paid off and you have a meaningful portfolio that your family can take care of in your presence, whether you can work or not. As long as it is done, then probably you should not have anything else. So health insurance, term insurance, must risk mitigation aspect that you should have. Beyond this, it's another question I keep getting and being asked is that, can I manage the investments all by myself? And sure, there's no harm in it. No harm in it. As long as you understand investments deeply, you love this point, you have the time, and whatever you do, you understand the risks involved in it. That's very, very important. Understanding the risk of what you have done and having provisioned for that risk is very, very important. As long as you're able to do that, definitely do that. But do not follow generic advice that is out there given in social media telling that, do this, fund. I mean, I've been trying to avoid any advice. It's basically sharing knowledge, because if it is advice, each 34, 35 of them, it should have very, very different advisors coming out. But it's important is to stop taking those generic advice telling that I should invest this, you become financially independent, do that, you will have X amount. That is not true. It will keep changing. Markets keep going around. Investing risk means different to different people. The objectives that are there for individual will be different from one person to another. So probably taking a very generic help, if you can do it by yourself, by building the knowledge or the skill, definitely do that. Otherwise, try and take a professional help. So I'll probably take a couple of minutes talking about what a SEBI registered investment advisors are. Like I'm not sure if you have come across this term. So SEBI has been promoting a new entity called registered investment advisors for a while. This is a small community. There are less than 1,000 for this entire country, and we, at Qrate Wealth we are one. So what we do is we are not distributors or sales folks. We don't. Our job is not to be selling an investment product, whether you like it or not, whether you need it or not. This is not the point. So as an RIA, we are on your side of the table. So primarily making sure that understanding your requirement and giving you the right advice that is right for you. They can help you to execute or not. That's another aspect. Second is that they meet all the regulatory norms with respect to stringent qualification norms, passing the exams, experience, and other financial requirement that SEBI has set up, that is being met. And more importantly, is as in SEBI RIAs do not have commercial arrangement with investment products. So for example, there are 6 or 7 different products that you could invest into. Usually today, if you go there, anyone who is selling will try out which has the highest incentive that is sold. And it happens every single time. Like you see, why is small caps sold significantly, or why is new fund, whenever it is offered, it is extensively sold by somebody, because there's a lot of like fees involved in it. So the whoever is selling gets a significant fee in it. So idea is, if you take the commercial arrangement away from between investment advisor and the investment manager, so then every product looks the same for advisor when they're offering to an investor. So and more importantly, RIAs are usually compensated from the fees that is offered by RIA by the investor. So this is how it works. So in this is one part I wanted to cover. If you are looking for an expert, then probably any RIA is somebody you should be looking for. And finally, one part of it I just wanted to talk a little bit about here is while planning for retirement, I think there's a lot of mindset. Oh, I should not spend money. I should put all money into investing. I should spend less. I should invest more, etc. I think there has to be a balanced approach. This is something I keep telling it. Like you should have a balanced approach, because your life is going to be much longer, and you should and there are a few things that you have to do at a particular age that becomes good. So you should definitely do that. So make sure that you're having good hobby, making a very good healthy lifestyle, and you're not being frugal, significantly excessively frugal, but I think you're maintaining enjoying the success that you have achieved so far. You should keep doing that, shouldn't stop doing that, because as you live longer, like I told you, it's not just the money, right? I told you about a few things. One is the longevity that is going to be there. Second is the inflation itself, and then the health cost. So the way you can reduce health cost is to making sure that you are keeping yourself in the best possible form as long as you can. That's very, very important. And finally, keep engaging in hobbies, or you probably do not know that it's not necessary that somebody at 60 should stop working. There will be no commercial way to I would not say exploit exactly, but commercial to benefit from any of the hobbies or your skills that you have. So keep doing it as long as you can. So do not penny pinch yourself on your way to retirement. So just keep making sure that it's just okay, and we are just making sure we are living a very good life, which is what we have. Sorry, this was a bit of a philosophical line that I just keep telling everyone, so I just thought I'll tell this group as well. So with this, I kind of have closing this 3 minutes before the time. I'll pause here. If you have any questions, any point in time, I can talk about it. Over to you.
I think Mr. Jitin Kumar has raised his hand.
Yes, Jitin.
Hi. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, please
Yes,
ask the question.
Okay, I have a question basically. If you could throw some light on it, it'll be good. So I am doing investments in mutual funds through one of the SEBI registered advisor. So he keeps on recommending me when to switch funds and where to invest, all of that. But one thing which I've observed is usually the expense ratio of all those mutual funds is higher wherever he recommends me. I'm not saying that the returns have not been decent. They are decent, if not good. But the expense ratio has been on the higher side. Would you recommend me to switch investing via that agent, registered agent, and get probably on the investment mode on my own via my own bank or something like that?
Let me ask this question. Are you buying mutual funds which are regular or direct?
I'm not sure about it.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Because when you said the fees are higher, expense ratio is higher. Then if it is
So I'll tell you how it is. I'll tell you how it is. So the agent of mine is registered with NJ. You must have heard of it. Yeah. So he's registered with that. So my all of the investments, have kind of record in the NJ Wealth. I can log in into it and then see what my investments are and where do I stand on a particular date in terms of the portfolio. My another observation, which I already said, that the expense ratio of all of them have been on the higher side. So now my question was, is it recommended to, would you recommend me to continue doing that, or probably switch and start investing by my own other accounts like bank accounts and all of that?
Okay. So if you go to the bank account also, they will end up giving you regular products only. Okay. So the way you can go about is either, and thing is there, NJ Wealth is a distributor. I'm sure they're competent people, so I wouldn't really question much about that. But the thought was, this is what I was trying to. You can hear me all right, no?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So so that usually what happens is, I'm not going to particularly name A or B here, but whenever the distributor is involved, their incentive is dependent on the expense ratio. So half the expense ratio goes to distributor, rest of it goes to the investment manager. So that is the way it is structured. So they would definitely be better compensated by getting that. I'm sure there is any value that they are offering. I'm not going to question that. But if you're looking to invest in to reduce fees, then I think you should be investing into direct funds. Now, direct funds are available on something like an MF Central. You can go and buy there. It is free to use application sponsored by CAMS and KFintech. It's an application that is basically CAMS and KFintech are the one who takes up the entire backend operations for mutual funds, all mutual funds. They've built this application. It's free to use, and you can buy direct products right from there. So any investment that you make from here on, then you can probably be doing direct. But another aspect is, you have to be being certain about which mutual funds you're buying by yourself, that you're fully confident that this is the right portfolio and you fully understand that aspect. Please go ahead. You should be doing it. Else, you probably can look for an advisor around you whoever claims they're an advisor. You can go to SEBI website. There's a whole stream of RIAs who are registered with SEBI. You can check them. If the name exists, they are in SEBI. If they are not part of this, then they are not. There is a SEBI RIA number, like I think we have mentioned here. There's a SEBI RIA number that tells you that you're registered with SEBI. So anybody who claims to be an RIA, probably it's worthwhile to check if that credentials are true or not.
Sorry, just I think two more questions from here. So from whatever discussion we've just had.
Okay.
Sorry, can I continue?
Yes.
Just 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my question was, you said value addition. I'm not sure whether there's any kind of value addition which is being done by him or not, because we usually talk once in a year, and he recommends me, when to switch funds and where to switch them. And he's the one who's been making decisions. I'm just following it because I don't have much of the time, in finding out which fund is doing how well. So that's probably one of the reasons that I'm more
So one of the
kind of relying on him.
One of the aspect of switching the fees altogether, because it is regular and you move everything to direct, there's this capital gains that will come by, which will be large. So one needs to be very smart about how you make that. Like whenever you switch, you need to be smart tax wise. Like how do we reduce that burden? You need to fix a time horizon by how you can do it in a manner so that the tax bills can be reduced meaningfully. I'm not saying entirely, meaningfully. And I usually put my thumb rule is, like, whenever you're trying to move from regular to direct, make sure your overall tax bill is 1% of your total corpus. So like example, if your corpus is about 50 lakhs, you shouldn't be paying tax of more than say 50,000. You shouldn't pay that. and in a year. So and that should be the equation that you need to set, and you should move from regular to direct. Moving it all at once probably can give a significant tax bill. Probably wouldn't make that whole experience interesting.
One, Mr. Hegde, this is Sashikumar calling from Hyderabad.
Yes, please.
Mr. Hegde, suppose if I received a lump sum amount, I want to convert that lump sum amount to monthly interest point of view so that I can meet my day-to-day expenses. What are the best strategies to adapt? My principal should be in a safe mode, and over the principal amount, I should yield better optimum yield.
Okay, so so thing is, there are multiple options. I think the simplest part is doing an FD, bank FD, going to a bank and making sure they're paying you income every quarter. That's the simplest option out there. If you and then probably, but your capital will just be the same. Let's say you park it for 5 years, your capital will never grow. Now I don't want to ask questions on what is the quantum of money you're talking about when you say lump sum, and what is the income that you are talking about. Both are unknown here, so that's with the assumption I'm talking about. And second aspect is you can put it into mutual funds, where you can put into something like a maturity plan or a fixed income, where you put into a particular product and you set up something called a systematic withdrawal plan, where you can start getting the income that you want, that you are hoping to get. Third avenue probably is to figure out, like, exactly if you get the clear quantum, what is the size of lump sum that you have and what is the income that you're trying to generate. Based on that, you can actually plan something where you have a mechanism where your capital will also grow meaningfully, if not significantly, but your income requirement is also met. So you can build this on, like mutual funds have this option where they provide income using systematic withdrawal plans. You can build an income stream using that. You have multiple mutual funds that can be done. At simplest point is FD. With some thought process, we can build something like this using mutual funds as well. But to actually thought process behind how this can be done, I'll need more details with respect to exactly what is the quantum of money you are talking about and how much income you're talking about.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Hegde. Can you suggest any better mutual funds in this direction? Systematic withdrawal.
Yeah, I would not be able to talk about that because I mean, it will end up becoming an advice. I can't tell that, but I just told you,
Okay.
you can. I think there's a host of mutual funds in fixed income category that offers this a solution where you can build income while protecting your product. You have something called as dividend payout funds, and you can fix something called as a systematic withdrawal plan. If you do that, where you invest it for about 5-6 months, and after that you set up a systematic withdrawal plan where you're saying that, okay, I need 10,000 rupees every month. So every month 10,000 rupees comes into your account, while your capital probably will compound in certain fashion. Every mutual fund does it, but for more details, probably you should talk to a particular advisor to get it, because it will be a very generic advice that will end up giving to you right now.
Okay, Mr. Hegde. What about this Prime Minister Awas Yojana? That is, if you invest 15 lakhs, it will be yielding 10,000 per month.
Yeah, you have a PMVY, I think there. These are all the products where I'm talking about. Where I'm, sir, how old are you? If I may ask, you can give me
Yes, sir. 60 years, sir.
Okay. So you can, when you put in there, basically what would happen is that your principal is getting locked in. It will not grow over time. Inflation wise, in a way it will kind of depreciate, but then you kind of get the income that you're looking for.
Yes. Thank you.
But there's also a cap of how much you can invest. I think it's about 10 lakhs or so. That is how much you can invest into PMVY.
Sir, we have few queries in the chat box. One is with Mr. Amit Chaudhary. He's asking how to reduce burden of home loan EMI.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is a tough question. This is a very tough question because I mean, the only way you can actually reduce the EMI burden is by making a prepayment to the bank. That is how you kind of reduce the EMI burden that will come to you. So the thought is, if this is questioned from a perspective of like it is the difficulty that is being incurred with respect to paying EMI, or if it is a question, these are two aspects. Another is like, how can I reduce the EMI burden itself? So when you're talking about EMI burden itself, this probably is true for most of the people who have taken home, home loan, is do exactly what I told while doing investing, that you kind of step up the payment that you do towards your home loan. That's very important. When you like you get in a bonus payout, a part of it goes and being paid off your home loan. You get an increment. So increase a small amount towards your home loan, so that you will see over a period of time, your principal payment in the loan increases as compared to your interest. So that is the way you to go about doing it. But if you are going down to the path of we have taken a loan that is where you're finding it difficult to pay out, that's a different question. I'm presuming it is a former one. That is how I would see that. You kind of make sure you are making incremental increase in payment, so that your interest payout will decrease over point in time. Because the only way you can reduce EMI otherwise is to prepay. But if we are talking about like the loan amount itself becoming burdensome, that's a totally a different thing, where it probably is between bank and you with respect to, can I increase the tenure? That is another thing usually banks do. Banks help you in increasing the loan tenure, so that you can end up paying for a longer period of time. You pay out significantly large interest, but your monthly EMI will fall down. So these are some of the options that I can think of. Just going. Yeah, tell me.
Another query is from Mr. Vidyut Banerjee. He's asking, what should be the time horizon for actual long-term investment?
See, it depends from people to people. When we're talking about there is nothing like that long-term, short-term. It's primarily what is the investment objective. Based on that, you put the horizon for investing. For example, we are talking about retirement. Your objective is to create a X corpus by 60 years. Now, that is the objective that you're setting. For that, you need to invest to a certain point in time. So that is a long-term investment. Second part is, if you are looking for, I want to buy a car in a couple of years. Now that becomes a short-term plan. So both long-term and short-term are a very, very subjective term. That's why reduce this down to your what we call the investment objective itself. Based on the objective, then we can set out how much time frame is required to achieve that. Somebody asked my email ID. Let me send that.
Actually, few joined late, so they were asking for the PPTs. So I asked them the mail ID.
Yeah. So another question is whether it is better to own rented house or self, right? So yeah, this is a very subjective question again. Like purely from a financial point of view, it's better to rent house from a financial point of view. But I don't think so. Anybody does a rational decision making or really think purely from a financial point of view. So if you want a house that you want to live in and that has been an objective, I think one should definitely go and buy it. There is no harm. Like I'm for all things I'm telling, I also own my own house. So there is nothing like should I own the house or should I rent one? Purely from a financial point of view, yes, makes sense to rent as long as you can. But it completely depends on people to people.
We have a hand raise from Mr. Upendra.
Yeah, please ask the question.
Hi, good afternoon. So, am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Please.
Yeah. So I have two questions. The first one is switching is equivalent to selling from taxation perspective in mutual funds?
Sorry, can you be a little louder, sir?
Yeah, is switching of funds is taxable? Is it equivalent
Yes.
to selling?
Yes. Switching funds is taxable.
Okay, it means you are selling it. Is it so?
Yeah. It's switching funds is similar to selling. It is just that the process becomes simpler. But when you move from regular to direct, whether you move from A fund to B fund within the fund house, these are all considered as transaction itself, so they will be taxable.
Just second, my question is, if someone is in a position to pay his home loan, so should he pay or continue paying the home loan EMI and invest? What is the better option? Which one is completely pay and EMI invest or partly pay? What do you suggest?
So if I were to talk purely from a financial angle, like rational financial angle, if the bank says you should pay 60,000 EMI, just pay 60,000 EMI, and whatever increment you kind of make additional, you can keep investing. Because what happens is your investment value will continue to compound over a period of time, and your loan amount will keep depreciating over a point of time. So at any point in time, it is always good to keep investing and just pay what the bank is asking you to pay. This is rational financial advice that can work, but it doesn't work from each person to person. Like each one has a different risk tolerance and different activity or action they need to do for peace of mind. For some, that debt burden is something that is very, very bothering, so they want to pay the loan earlier. Even after me telling you, probably will do exactly what you would want to do in mind, but this is what will happen. So if the answer is you should be as your corpus increases, you kind of focus on investing and you just pay the bank what the bank is asking you to pay, which will just work fine. But there is no harm in paying off the loan early also, if that gives you better peace of mind. Please go ahead and do it. That's what I told. Like, a lot of things are very, very subjective.
Yeah. So just I wanted to know, because the market is at higher side and there is always a possibility of falling in. So that's why I asked this question. Completely pay and invest.
Yeah, so thing is, like, if you do, I don't have a spreadsheet here. If you do that, you will kind of see the payoff it is always better. There is no incentive in paying off the loan early vis-a-vis taking the same amount and investing somewhere, because when you're paying off early, you're actually paying off a loan of 7 or 8%, and when you're investing at an opportunity of a bigger, higher payout for a longer tenure, and eventually the loan amount in itself will keep reducing in value, and the value that you're investing will keep increasing over a point of time. So this is the math always tells you, invest first, and whatever corpus you get, invest first and not pay off loan first. But human psychology works a little differently.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying.
Sir, I have
we
a
have
question.
a hand raised from Mr. Sunil.
Yes, please.
Sir, Sunil from Jamshedpur. Sir, my question is ki normally one salaried person is not investing much more during their service period, but obviously आपने sir काफी कुछ बताया है, तो just I want to know two base mode of investment, sir, and one more query. Sir, normally people are purchasing the LIC policies but getting very poor return. So for the family, for the children, what are the better mean so that we can invest something so that it should be useful for the children, and for us, what are the two better mean where we can invest so that there should be a less risk of losing the money, sir?
Yeah. So first thing, this probably for the entire group here as well. If somebody comes with an insurance policy saying this is investment, run the other way. It's not going to help. It's a very, very poor product, and I don't know whose incentive is what. Why does this even industry exist? This is the industry operators, the whole value chain makes money out of it, but the investor themselves are going to lose. So ULIP, endowment plan, or anything wrapped around saying that this is insurance and investment, run away. Don't have it. And if you have bought one of it, if you have invested it for about 5 years, talk to the agent and try to get out of it. Even if it is lost, you are better off than having to pay for another 5, 10, 15 years. Okay, this is something you should do. When it's a ULIP, endowment plan, or any of that sign. Second is when you talked about investment, right? I think a very simple hack of investing is mutual funds. While there is risk involved in it because it is investing in equity market, not all, but mutual fund does give you a portion to invest in the equity market. It is good to have a part of your, since you told you're working in a much more stable environment, probably worthwhile to take some equity exposure, but through mutual fund, which will work in your benefit. I mean, you can look for somebody who can help you to do that, but I wouldn't give you two. Probably one should be enough. That is to do mutual fund. The second option is, I think PF is already being taken care of by your company. Make sure that you can increase your allocation to NPS. I'm sure tier 1 or tier 2, probably not many are still aware, but that is an opportunity that one should definitely try to maximize, because that gives you much good returns as well and serves your retirement requirements as well. So mutual funds for your for as an investment product, and NPS as a product towards your retirement, specifically for your retirement. If I'm answering your question, two products.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks.
Sir, good evening. This is Preeti Ranjan. I have a question. In the equity portfolio, what should be the ideal percentage of weightage for large cap, small cap, and mid cap? If you can.
It depends. It depends from a period to period, sir. There is no hard and fast rule there. It depends. It completely depends, sir. Like for example, if you were to ask for ourselves, like we probably towards somewhere middle of the year we reduced our allocation to small cap, but somebody probably haven't. It depends on each one's risk tolerance. But one thing you should always note here is that small, just because something is small cap doesn't mean that you're telling that, oh, this company becomes larger. I'll give you an example. Most of you guys are from Tata Steel. So there is Tata Steel, and tomorrow I start Hegde Steel. No matter what, Tata Steel has been there for over 100, 120, 30 years. So that legacy, size, everything matters. Like, I go to Tata Steel, I will get steel of this grade, this quality, this thing every single time. That may not be true for a small company. So betting on a small cap, assuming that this will grow much faster than large cap, is a little foolhardy. So that is something you need to really think of while doing it. But allocation strictly depends from market condition to condition, where we take a understanding about what market environment, interest rate regime, government policies is helping which segment. Based on that, you can take a call. So, but a simple rule of thumb is your portfolio must always have significant portion to large cap, and only after that to mid cap, and whatever it is, the smaller component goes to small cap. Now, what that number is probably depends. I can't really advise, but that should be a thumb rule of making your equity portfolio.
Sir, would you like to give some idea about the like sectorial portfolio, like banking sector or IT or pharma or something, like which sector should contain more of your equity weightage? Because you may be seeing the market is at the top, and the defense sector is 30% from the down. So something like which sector can you like depend upon?
See, I am a SEBI registered entity. Anything I speak that goes down to security fund thing, it is considered an advice, and regulator will come after me. And this is also a recorded session. I'm sorry. But I think it is when we are picking sectors, it will be interesting to check how certain changes is impacting which sector, right? Why IT is falling down? Is it an indication of a market slowing down, or companies not going to spend there? Is the interest rate coming down good for private banks? Is it a good time to invest there, even in this high market? So these are some of the questions I could pose and think of how to go about it. But I am sorry, I cannot be giving you very sector specific advice and saying you should do this or you should do that. I can't do that. I can't be doing that. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir,
So we are getting the queries of your contact number and mail IDs, and you are asking for the charges also. So if you want, you can share your details here.
I will drop my email ID. You can
or you can put it in chat box. It will be visible to everyone.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. Yeah, or you can go to our website, QrateWealth.in, and you will get our contact page. So the QrateWealth.in, if you go to our website, you have all the means how to contact us. You can contact us, or you can drop any questions you might have on the email that I just put on the chat.
Okay, okay, Mr. Kuldeep, what are the risks involved in going for investment in foreign stocks in equity mode?
Sir, I will. So yeah, this scanner probably will. Yeah. So thing is, if you're investing a smaller quantum of money, you probably can take advantage of some of the mutual funds that are there that is giving you exposure to foreign markets. You have a few of them, like there is something that is tracking NASDAQ. There are a few that are tracking some of the active funds in the US. I think that probably is a good option to do. Now, when you're investing directly in stocks, right, the risk involved here is that in India, you have this concept of demat, where the broker is facilitating the transaction, but the money is coming from your bank and the stocks goes to your demat account. So demat is that is where your stocks are held and stored. But when you're dealing with the foreign entity here, your stocks are held with the broker itself. So and that is where the problem happens. Now, if it is a large broker, say something like an E-Trade or E-Trade probably, or Fidelity, etc. Now that's a different thing. These are very, very large companies. They probably are not going under. They will be there whenever you want to. Merrill Lynch, etc. These are going to be BofA, Merrill Lynch. All of these are probably big brokers. You will not expect anything to go down here. The problem happens is in Indian story is the companies are working with not so large brokers and doing it. So a broker in India or a platform in India is partnering with another foreign broker and facilitating the transaction. So the one who is facilitating here is not taking responsibility of what happens after investing there. They probably are getting a financial benefit, but they're not responsible for what happens there. Like if the broker goes default, a broker goes bankrupt, or broker defaults on the transaction, that is, that refuses to make the payment of the stocks they hold. These are some of the risks. I'm not saying that it will play out, but these are potential risks for which there is no answers per se. Now and if you're saying that I've invested 5 lakh, 10 lakh, etc., or of that sum, that probably would not even meaningfully account for going there and fighting it out also. So this is why many of the brokers in India, like large ones, have stopped doing providing US equities, because they are not able to figure it. In fact, this is our own story. We also thought about it and haven't included US or global equity investing, direct investing, for this particular reason only, because we saw this risk can really play out in a way that we do not want it to happen, because we don't really have a control on what happens in another sovereign. If the company defaults, what happens there? That's an issue. That's why many of the big ones don't do it. I think Grow stopped recently for the same reason. There's only one company that is actively doing it. I'm not sure how that will play out in the future. I hope nothing really happens, but this risk really remains.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Any other query? There is a query from Mr. Shirish Shekhar that any thumb rule on sum assured in case of a term insurance?
Come again?
Any thumb rule on sum assured in case of term insurance?
Yeah. 10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 times your annual income, current annual income. And not more than 15 years time frame. 15, max 20 years. Never more than 20 years.
Any other queries? So I think that's it for today. So here we are sharing our feedback scanner. I request all of you to kindly scan and give your feedback for today's webinar. And thank you so much, sir, for sharing your invaluable insights and expertise on the topic with us today. Your thoughtful perspectives have provided us with a deeper understanding of the topic. And we sincerely appreciate the time and effort you have given us here to engage with us. We look forward to applying the knowledge you have imparted into our future finances too.
Thank you very much. I mean, it was a pleasure talking to you all. Really, really appreciate this. Thank you.